Keir Starmer is withholding news from you. I know this because I worked in mainstream media for 20 years. You will find out in this episode what a D-notice is, why he gaslights media, and the truth about Donkeygate. Welcome to Lauren the Insider. Jingles being made, don't have it, but this is where it would happen. Ding, 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 ding. Right, on with the show. So, this is what I want you guys to know. A D-notice is, let's put it up on the screen. There we go. Right. A D-notice is something that I believe is being weaponized by the government to withhold information. So you will know when it comes to the migrant hotels. If you've done your research around areas where you know they are, you will see that there's a lot of arrests happening, and it's really not very nice for the people living in these areas. And women and children are majorly at risk. Now, the government, they don't want all of this news out there all the time because then we, the public, are right. So, what do? They, in my opinion, issue a D notice. Now, ready? Oh, I'm really conscious. I just made like a mouth sound, and someone said on the comments, "Would you stop slapping your wrist, your mouth around on the stream?" I thought, oh, it's not OnlyFans, it's YouTube. Anyhow, so officially known as a DSMA notice, it's a voluntary request from the UK government asking the media not to report certain information, usually in the name of national security. Now, this is very clever because Keir Starmer, we know his history of law and knowing the ins and outs of it is second to none. You know, he was as high as you can get in the legal profession. So weaponizing law, yes, it looks like that to me, and he knows how to do that. Obviously, this is just my opinion because I could get arrested the way this country is at the moment. Anyhow, while it's meant to protect lives and operations, it can also raise red flags because these notices aren't publicly disclosed in real time and aren't legally binding. Critics argue they could be used to quietly suppress uncomfortable truths or shield the powerful from scrutiny. So, remember the three Eastern European boys who all looked rather, you know what I'm trying to say. And then they were in the news, the arson attack at his Starmer's house, and then you don't hear about them. Well, I believe that the government are using D notices a huge amount. I think they are putting them out left, right, and centre. And when you say to a newspaper editor, you know, you can't run this, it's a national security risk, they're not going to run it because the government and the media work so closely together. So we will never know when a D notice has been issued. And so this is how the system actually operates. And I'm going to give you guys an example. So I want you to look out in the news for when there's arrests or, you know, especially around the migrant hotels or that kind of news. Very often they will say there has been an arrest and it will say a man of 32 in Epping has been arrested for assault on a woman, and they will not give more details. So we will not find out at the time where they're from. And this matters because actually I argue that by the weaponization of D notices, the public are being gaslit, and we're actually all made to be like we're far right mentalists, and we're not. We can just, it's obvious what's happening. So, specific DSMA notices are confidential letters sent directly to editors and the Press Association when a story raises genuine national security concerns. Or I would argue, you just have to walk down the street in this country, and I can point out a lot of security concerns left, right, and centre. It is not safe, and you don't need a DSMA notice to tell you that. They're typically labelled private and confidential and are not intended for public release. Now, here we go, folks. They operate outside the freedom of information laws. So the only way we learn from them is through leaks or external reporting, and it's rare. So this is why, if you've watched my videos and if you follow me on socials, you will know I am adamant about protecting and amplifying whistleblowers, because whistleblowers, especially in this situation, they risk a huge amount, and they are also gaslit by the system. And I would argue they're also silenced by the mainstream media because they can't get their truth out. So then you have people like me who are going, this is what's happening. And, you know, many people get their YouTube or their social platforms taken down. So it's really important that I let you guys know this information and what I feel, in my opinion, is happening, because this is an industry I spent 20 years in. You know, I do know how these types of notices can be weaponized. So look out for that, especially kind of vague reporting. Denotice. Next, I want to come on to Keir Starmer is actually really, really awful to journalists. Now, you know I'm not a fan of mainstream media, but credit where credit's due. I actually did think Laura Kuenssberg did a good interview with him, because she did push him more than I feel she normally does. But what he does, as he always does, is he evades the question. He is a typical politician. And so he deflects and ignores. I'm going to add this to the stage. This is about these ID cards, which these ID cards have been in the works for years. The Tony Blair Institute's been working on them. Tony Blair has, you know, we don't need you, Tony Blair. You're not prime minister anymore. Tony Blair can't help but get involved with everything. And, oh, it's a non-profit, his business. Okay, so you're just doing it at 70 years old out of the goodness of your heart? I do not trust him whatsoever. It's also, he's now involved in everything going on in Israel. So you should know that he met Benjamin Netanyahu in 2023, 2 years ago. So what was he lining up then? Was he lining up his New Deal? So let's add
you if you really believe.
Right, so this is the interview. Let's watch. Listen carefully to the question he's asked and what he answers.
One of our viewers got in touch and wanted us to ask this question. Russ Brown wanted us to ask you if you really believe that those profiting from human trafficking will think, oh dear, I have to check your digital ID now. I can't carry on paying you £1.50 an hour to work in my sweatshop.
I'm absolutely convinced that amongst the reasons that people travel through France, which is a safe country, to come to the United Kingdom, amongst the reasons is because it's easier to work in our illegal economy than it is in other countries.
No, pal. The reason they're coming over is because you're putting them in 5-star hotels, giving them dental work, ferrying them around in taxis, and then you basically created our asylum system to some degree because you were such a heavyweight in the human rights legal arena. And then these people are like, oh, I can't go anywhere now. I can't go back to my country. And so then they stay in the system and they get lost in the system and they're paid for years. And this is also, can I just flag, Keir Starmer, have you ever looked at the type of people as a human rights barrister that he defended? Oh, that's a whole new video. Anyhow, watch him just get a little bit more irate with Laura Kuenssberg.
We have to deal with
bosses who are prepared to hire people illegally are not asking them for their national insurance card. So what's the evidence? What makes you think they're suddenly going to ask them for a digital ID?
We need to be really clear. You must have ID, mandatory digital ID, in order to work, because we have to stop illegal working. If you look at any of the raids, we've massively increased the number of...
I would argue the problem isn't the illegal working. It's the fact that vast amounts of unvetted men know how to play the system. They know how to get trapped in the system, and then they know how to challenge appeals. You know, this is very much a system that they are benefiting from. And Keir Starmer knows this system inside out. He's gaslighting us.
Raids on working premises. It is absolutely clear that people are working illegally in numbers.
But why do you think that them
having
having to have a digital ID would stop that problem, when right now people are meant to have a national insurance number and card, and if they're not asked for that, a boss is willing already to break the rules? What's the difference going to be?
Well, the difference is this is on point of starting, not a retrospective exercise as it now.
Utter garbage. So what he does, he's a highly intellectual man. What he does is he kind of tries to shame Laura into thinking retrospective, this, that, throwing out all of these words. He has not answered the question.
Now it is an automatic collection of the information by the government, so we know exactly who is working in our economy, and it will.
Oh, I'll tell you, pal, who's working in the economy. Patriots paying for you to waste our money on people that, quite frankly, we shouldn't be paying for.
Help us enforce the rules that are there. But there's no point people saying to me, why do we need it, when we all acknowledge there is a problem.
There we go, the gaslighting. The gaslighting 101 from Keir Starmer.
People are working illegally in our economy. It is amongst the reasons that people want to come to the United Kingdom. We have to deal with that. I made a pledge that we would.
Oh, and that old word pledge means absolutely nothing. So this is typical Keir Starmer. You would have seen when Bev Turner interviewed him with Trump about a month ago about the online safety bill. He tried to shame her in saying this is about protecting children from PDFs. It's nothing to do with that. It's to silence people like you and me. Someone 2 weeks ago was arrested for calling another person a muppet. This is what is happening to our country. Now, secondly, I wanted to talk about what I have named Donkeygate, okay? Keir Starmer bought his parents a field at the end of their garden, and let's not forget, he loves telling us all his mum was a nurse and his dad was a toolmaker. I don't care. Anyhow, he bought them a field. And what he tries to do to Laura Kuenssberg next in this clip, he very much tries to humiliate her and to guilt her. And this is something that a publicist would do a lot. So once I had a client who had a child with very specific medical needs. They were severely disabled. And when we had a disaster, instead of saying, do you know what? The event that we publicized actually only had 4 people turn up to it and it was a disaster. No, what we did is we pulled out of the damage limitation truck something that would make the media then be like, oh, we can't really say anything. And we said that we had to go, we couldn't stay, we had to cancel the event because of the client's child not being well. Now, is this moral? No. But all I can do is tell you guys, and sunlight is the best disinfectant. And this is why I know Keir Starmer's tactics are very much to embarrass the journalist and to, humiliate her to the point of she's sat there going, oh, maybe I shouldn't have asked that question. Watch this, but take a deep breath, because I actually think it's shocking.
For my mum and my dad, because.
Right, so here we go. Donkeygate.
Parents many years ago, did you put it into a trust?
No, I didn't. I bought a field for my mum and my dad because they loved donkeys, and my mum was very ill.
There we go, very ill. Ding! This is on the humiliationometer. There we go. We've had a 1 very ill.
And she couldn't move around anymore.
Oh, couldn't move around. That's 2.
She, by the end of her life, had her leg amputated.
Oh, now we've got a 1-legged mum that loves donkeys. There we go. That's 3.
And she could barely communicate.
4, can't talk now. So 1-legged, can't talk, loves donkeys, end of her life.
She was very, very ill.
Very, very ill. That's 5.
Loved her donkeys. And I wanted her to be able to see her donkeys. I was a lawyer. I had quite a lot of money. I bought a field for £20,000 at the back of their house. And I said, here's your field. It's yours for as long as you may live. You can put your donkeys in it.
That's because that's been the question.
Hmm. So there's also another clip where Keir Starmer talks about how £20,000 it's not a lot of money. You know, it's I wasn't avoiding tax. What he has neglected to say is that the way in which he gave his parents this field for the donkeys, for the donkey lovers, for his one-legged mother who loves donkeys, is that it was ring fenced to some degree. So it meant that when the value went up on that field, it was exempt from his parents' estate. Was he avoiding tax? I don't know. But I'm more bothered about the fact of him absolutely manipulating the conversation to make Laura Kuenssberg feel guilty for asking a question that we all want to know. And to the point of, £20,000 isn't a lot of money. Okay, Keir, my daughter, my eldest daughter, has swimming lessons and they're £23.50 and she has one a week. £20,000. Do you know how many that would put her in swimming lessons every single week for 16 years? Or how about the fact that over 8.4 million people in the country don't have any savings? Or if you are a normal family of four, your average food bill in the supermarket would be around £600 a month, obviously give and take. Every family is different. But your not so big £20,000, that would actually feed a family of four for 3 years. So I take great offence at the it's not a lot of money. Well, it is a lot of money, and it's also a lot of money for the nurses that are working around the clock. It's a lot of money for people that are on minimum wage who are trying to make that wage stretch. It's not good enough, and I had to come on here and rant about it. Now, there is a deep dive on Keir Starmer coming, but I am meticulous and I want to make sure I get it perfect for you guys. So if you do like my content, like, subscribe, comment, and hype the videos if you can. I've been told hyping is for kind of newbie channels like me, and they really do make a difference. But in a nutshell, I want you to know that this politician, or rather our Prime Minister, oh, it's petrifying, gaslights journalists, tries to shame them into, questioning, and he never, ever gives them a clear answer. So that's your nugget for today, folks. And please keep supporting me. I am loving bringing you